Okay.
Hello, Bev, and welcome to the Better World Humans podcast. How are you doing today?
Doing well. The sun's out. It's cold, but it's a beautiful day.
That's awesome. So, for those who may not be familiar with Kidsports, what is Kidsports and the mission of Kidsports?
Yeah, Kidsports is a 501(c)(3) nonprofit. It was established in 1954 with some parents who really felt that their kids needed some team sport experience, just not solely for the physical aspect, but the social emotional connections and just the opportunity to be together in a group and learn some valuable life lessons as well as compete. And so its mission has been for almost 60 plus years, all kids play. The founding fathers and mothers felt like, if there was a youth sport organization, it should be every child's right to be able to play. And so that has been something that we've based our philosophy on for, almost 66 years, where all kids play is sort of a double entendre, where regardless of your ability to play, we'll find, a team for you to play on. And regardless of your ability to pay, we will have a scholarship program that will make sure we're gathering up all the kids that want to play and have an opportunity to play with some scholarship assistance. And so we are we're probably Lane County's number one, if not the state's number one multi-sport provider. We do 8 core sports throughout the traditional year. Certainly COVID has, impacted the number of sports we're able to deliver. In March, we didn't finish out our basketball season. We were not able to do our soccer and lacrosse season, nor our baseball, softball season. But this summer, we were able to pivot and do some summer camps for children. And also, we're just in the middle, nearing the end of our fall season with Oregon Health Authority approved soccer and flag football sports, and now moving indoors for Oregon Health Authority volleyball. But traditionally, we do 8 sports. We start with soccer, football in the fall, then we move to volleyball, then we move to basketball, spring soccer and lacrosse, and then we finish with softball and baseball. And so our calendars are scheduled so that there's not a lot of overlap, and so children can play all the sports that they're interested in playing.
I know that, yeah, there's the big mission of children should be playing more than one sport. And there's such a culture of you have to just play basketball and train, train, train. And I know that Kidsports is really trying to work with, you should be playing all the sports and, trying out all the different, motor skills in each sports. And would you say that all kids play sort of mission is the biggest differentiator between other youth sports organizations?
I would say so. I think given in the current century that we're in, there's not a lot of organizations that do what we do. There's some certainly boys and girls clubs. There's some parks and recs throughout the country that do this. But as a youth sports organization, I think we're very unique in that we really believe in that multi-sport experience. We feel the more sport that you play, the more you get out of sports, not just, the physical realm, but the social, emotional, and the mental realm. And research shows that that is, in fact, what's best for kids. And how we try to explain it is, think of as a parent, if you have some, questions about should my child specialize or should my child, play multi-sports, I think, just to have make an informed decision is good. Research shows that the more sports kids play, the better off and more globally developed they are. And if you relate it to academics, we don't necessarily in 3rd grade have a child just study one subject, just because it tends to limit their ability to develop globally. And so I like to offer that to parents who are in a conundrum where, their coach says, hey, your daughter's going to be the next Mia Hamm, and so she should only play soccer. She's 6, she should only play soccer. And so I said, well, what if a teacher told you that your daughter's going to be the next J.K. Rowling? Would you just have her write, or would you want her to learn, other subjects so that she becomes, in the end, a more informed and a more knowledgeable writer? It's the same with, developing your physical skills, your movement and motor skills. If you're doing one skill over and over, like kicking a ball, for 10 years, you have a lot of issues with overuse. and certainly some mental fatigue and burnout. It's not to say that you can't play soccer, for a long period of time, but it's also very good to mix in another sport just to give that child a little bit of a rest and relief and recovery from those using those same muscles and sort of same motor pathways over and over.
Yeah, that's great. I like that perspective. I haven't heard that perspective compared to in academia. And I know youth sports have made a huge impact in my life. I played through high school. So my next question is, how does like involvement in youth sports, affect, social, emotional, and middle school, high school, and beyond?
Well, I think it's very important. I think right now, currently, we struggle in schools for various reasons, and not necessarily the fault of our schools and school districts in providing actual physical activity on a consistent basis for our developing kids. So kindergarten through fifth and eighth grade, the CDC recommends that those children have 60 minutes of moderate to vigorous exercise per day. And currently within the school system, they may get 50 minutes twice a week. And so there's a real activity gap that I, in fact, feel fuels the achievement gap. It's very hard for children, to study for 6 to 7 hours a day and sit in a classroom. If you think of your experience or my experience, we have lots of energy, and we need to really be able to expend that energy, because it gives us lots of mental and social and emotional benefits. And so what youth sport used to do was it used to enhance all that children did in physical education. So physical education taught very fundamental movement and motor skills. Physical education taught kids how to, sort of compete with themselves. It developed their agility, their balance, their coordination. It gave them some confidence and competence to maybe step out and now enhance their physical skills in a team sport environment. Right now, with a lack of consistent quality physical education in schools, our coaches in the younger ages find that they have to do a lot more athletic development with the children. And that's really important, because I think more so than just trying to get to the high school, basketball team or football team, physical activity gives children confidence, and it gives them confidence to move their bodies. And it also develops some character, because sometimes when you play a game, you might lose or you might not be successful. And so you've got to develop some resilience, and you've got to develop some grit, to get through that, and some self-regulation, so you don't get emotionally off balance and you can't continue. And those kind of life skills that we learn in physical education, and certainly in team sport, if taught properly, can really help us in our normal lives that we face adversity and some conflict. So, I think physical activity, number one, is essential and critical to a healthy, active child developing. And number two, I think, team sports can really enhance some of those valuable life skills that they can't naturally get out of a classroom situation.
I know team sports for me has definitely helped me with teamwork and, working together, collaborating, and just working towards a mission that's not about yourself. And I know COVID-19 has definitely made us become more resilient people, whether we want to or not. And I know you briefly talked about the programs having to pivot and change. My next question to you is, what has Kidsports done because of COVID?
Yes, it's a really fine balancing act, because certainly we want to have an opportunity for our children to be active, because we know how important that is for their health and their mental well-being. And at the same time, however, we want to make sure that we're not compromising their health by, exposing them to situations with COVID that they could become close to the virus. And so it's been a delicate balancing act. We've had really good guidance from the Oregon Health Authority, who've really looked to provide us with some concepts and principles and protocols for COVID and how we can deliver team sports. And as you know, we delivered 8 weeks of summer camp to children. We served about 180 kids a day over those 8 weeks, and just allowed them to do some really cool activities, and at the same time staying safe. We did act for 3 hours. Our kindergarten through fourth grade kids had a chance to do 4 different activities through the day. We did a half an hour of activity, then they rested so that our staff could clean and sanitize the equipment that they used, and then they moved again. And so I think that was really important for the kids this summer. It just gave them a sense of normalcy and not a very normal world. And we were still able to keep them safe and sanitized. And I think it helped parents as well, because they could drop their children off for 3 hours to be, human beings rather than human doings all the time with their kids. And so we really take that to heart. We've moved into our fall sports, and we've had it's been a big lift for our staff and our team to make sure that we're helping those kids, yes, be active. That helps with social, emotional, mental, and physical health, but at the same time being very safe with our COVID protocols. So we have a health and wellness check-in for anyone that comes into the park or anyone that comes into the field house. We wear masks the whole time, just because we can't keep kids 6 feet apart when they play a sport. And our parents have been understanding. We've limited access to the park and the field house, just one parent per child, just to make sure that we're keeping socially distant parameters in line with what OHA is requesting. So we've been able to do a lot with a little, but we certainly couldn't do it without the collaboration and cooperation of our parents and our community and our kids. So, when they say it takes a village to do anything in this world, even to get through COVID, if we all collaborate and cooperate, I think we have a better chance of getting through to the other side.
Yeah, it's perfect for my next follow-up question. Talk about like the family's been really understanding. And so how have youth and family been reacting to these services that you all have, pivoted towards?
Yes, there's been a little bit of hesitation because it's a very uncertain time, and COVID is a very different virus than we've ever faced in our lives. And so there's been a lot of just very careful observation and a little bit of reluctance by some parents to join. It just isn't time for them or their children. We understand that. But for some parents, it's been, very positive just for their family life, for something to look forward to on the weekends. We have all of our games are played on the weekends. So we have a high school flag football Friday night. And for those kids, they're playing with their high school football team. They're playing with their high school coaches. It's really been beneficial for them physically, socially, mentally, and emotionally to have that. And then Saturdays and Sundays, we work with our younger population, our kindergarten through 8th grade, soccer and flag. And the parents have been very appreciative and very collaborative, and just feel that this is something their kids look forward to all week. That this is sort of a little bit of a light at the end of the tunnel for them as they go through their online learning and their inability to hang out with their friends. Just their whole life has sort of been turned upside down. But this little glimmer of being able to be a part of a team, like you mentioned, doing something that's bigger than me, and talks about we, and just being able to laugh and run and jump, has been really, really positive and uplifting for many, many of our families who've chosen to, take a step out into the youth sport world, even during this really, really uncertain time.
Yeah, that's great. And I'm kind of sitting here thinking as you're talking, especially at the Friday night lights, with their football. I'm sure their football season for some of them are, really bummed out about that. But that's still awesome that they get to play and have a space to have fun and, just be a kid, especially during these wild times. And my next question is how or what community partners or how have community partners really been able to help this come together?
Sure. Well, obviously our families, and then, Lane County Health and Oregon Health Authority have been really, really key in helping us structure things so that we are really making sure that we're doing all we can to keep these kids and families safe when they do participate. Our community of corporate sponsors have been fantastic. We have Jerry's Home Improvement has sponsored us in the past with their baseball, softball, and they pivoted with us to sponsor our summer camps. And so that's been huge because it has allowed us to have, purchase some extra summer camp equipment to make sure that we have the proper uniforms for kids so that they feel good out here, and just get some sanitation equipment that keeps the kids safe. We, all of our corporate sponsors this fall, from Kendall Subaru to Evergreen Roofing to Wildish Construction Company, have all jumped back on board to sponsor our fall seasons, which really is helpful for us. We have a really good, cool relationship with Ramjack and Les Schwab for basketball. And as well, Mackenzie Willamette Hospital is a great sponsor of ours that really keeps the organization afloat. And then also our board, our Kidsports board, has been incredibly supportive and really stayed close with us, helping us guide through these times. And then I just can't say enough about our Kidsports team and staff who've really actually changed their lives, because most of our work is done between Friday and Monday night. So they're working weekends and then having to take their days off during the week, which is, just a little bit of a different way of life for them, because usually they would take the weekends off with their families that take weekends off. And so they've really stepped up and committed to that, and have been key in allowing us to deliver these services to our community.
Yeah, I think that's a great positive note to really leave off on this podcast. And before we sign off, how can listeners help serve the Kidsports mission, and are there ways to volunteer or donate sporting goods?
Sure, that's a great question. So, we always really are welcoming to have, community people that are interested in coaching kids. That's really
Fun
for us. Yeah. And, coaching, it's more than rolling the ball out. You really do need to get involved a little bit, but it is the rewards that you get from it, and what you learn about not just yourself, but what about kids is really, really satisfying and rewarding. And so I would, want everybody to have that possibility. And if you're not of the coaching material, which, is understandable, there's many ways that you can help in terms of, we have, some scholarship funds that you can always donate to. We have a shoe exchange, where if you have gently used shoes for kids, if you bring them into us, we can turn them around and give them to families that just need some assistance with some shoes for their children. There's also opportunities to come and help and volunteer if you'd like during our weekends. We get a lot of support in that way. And then if you visit our website, www.kidsports.org, you can find out more information about our organization. And I just want to give a shout out to another organization that has been key to getting us here in the field house and at Civic Park, and that's the Eugene Civic Alliance, which is the nonprofit that we work closely with. They have raised the money, and they have been in charge of building out Civic Park, including our field house. So without them, we wouldn't be here in order to be able to provide these services. So if you'd like to take just a look at their website, eugenecivicalliance.org, you would find a really incredible organization that is doing really big things here in this community.
Yeah, it is a beautiful facility, and I love driving by it at night and seeing kids playing. So that's fantastic. Thank you so much for your time today, Bev.
You're welcome. Thank you, Justin.